Hi guys, just message a yes so that I know I am live. Okay, great. Hi guys, so welcome to Unacademy, India's largest learning platform. And as we all know, it has come up with a chess subscription. So you should definitely subscribe because you'll get to learn from legends like Anand and Kramnik and even all the top coaches in the country. So do subscribe, guys. And there is a great offer going on. So you can use my code Parnali 16 in the referral code, and you can apply that and you will get the first month at just rupees 99 instead of 50. We are going to have a look at Mikhail Tal's game, the Magician of Riga, and he's one of my favorite chess players, and how he builds the attack and how he finally sacrifices and wins the game. So let's begin, guys. Just a moment. Okay, so this game was played between Mikhail Tal and Smislo Vasily in Zagreb in Candidates 1959. So Tal is white here. E4 was played, C6, D3, D5, knight D2, E5. So here it's not really Caro-Kann completely. This position can transpose into King's Indian attack, which white plays with G3 and knight Gf3. So it can transpose. E5, knight Gf3, knight D7, D4, D into E4, knight into E4, E into D4. Knight has definitely he has some more pieces in the center, and he can castle pretty easily. He just has to move this bishop or this bishop and he can just quickly castle depending on which side he wants to castle. I think he'll castle on the long side because the square here is already weak. So definitely I think he'll castle long. Knight Gf6 was played in the game. Bishop G5. So you pin the bishop, and now you can realize that he's planning to castle on this side. Bishop E7, and now long castles. Sorry guys, I can't see the chat right now, so I'm not able to see if you're commenting anything. I'll get back to your questions once I can see the chat. Still some lag. Thanks, Soumitra. Is it better now? Just let me know in the chat, guys. So for long castles, obviously castles should be correct here because knight d6 can be a threat, and after bishop into d6 castle because the queen controls this square here. So castles was played for the very same reason. Is there still a lag? Can someone just tell me? Okay, just a moment. I'll close other windows so that there's no lag. Is it better, guys? Hi guys, is it better? Should be. Okay, thanks, Soumitra. I'm so sorry, guys. There's some internet issue because of Ganpati going on. I apologize. So the knight goes to d6, and now you can decide which piece you want on the square later on, because you can just exchange this bishop here and you will have bishop pair. Queen a5 was played, so he doesn't exchange here, and as you can see, I can even capture on c8 and have the bishop advantage. But Tal liked to develop everything and he tried to build the attack always. So he liked when his pieces were really active, and so he played bishop c4 here. So now you can see already white has developed all his pieces, and rooks are pretty active. They can come in like this. Rook h1 can go to rook e1 and attack this bishop here. Rook d1 is already active. King is pretty safe. The bishop protects here as well as it attacks. And sorry for the visual representation, but you can see how active white's pieces are as compared to the black's pieces. b5 was played, and now what do you think should be the move here from white's side? Can you suggest a move for white? Okay, so the move here that was played was bishop d2. Kiran, okay, bishop b3 is interesting, but the problem with bishop b3 is that you're giving him some time to do, or like he can play c5, or he can do something in that time. So Tal never liked that. He wanted to always attack, and he liked to bring his pieces in tempo. So he would usually maneuver his pieces in tempos by giving threats, and he wouldn't let any breathing space for his opponent. So that's the reason bishop d2 was played. So I am now attacking the queen, and now the other plan is to get the bishop on this diagonal and have some threats on g7, maybe something like knight f5 and threats on g7 and even on e7. So that's the reason bishop d2 was played. Black here played queen a5, queen a6, and now white just played knight f5. So you can see he is just attacking black's hanging pieces and getting tempos so he can attack later on. Bishop d8 was played, and now queen h4 was played. So the idea of queen h4 is, so right now you're sacrificing this, and the idea of queen h4 is to have something of knight h6 or maybe bishop h6. So you can sacrifice there, and even though you're getting the queen on the same diagonal as this bishop, it's not really going to help black in any way. B into c4 was played, and now can you suggest a move for white here, guys? A very threatening move. I hope there is no lag now. I'll wait for your answers, guys. Okay, knight g5. Kiran, you are right. Knight g5 can be a possibility, because after all you are getting both the knights in attack, and now you want to attack on this square, right? Yeah, it's right. But right now h7 can be protected. There is one square amongst these three pawns here. One pawn is there which cannot really be defended right now as quickly. Soumitra, bishop h6 is really interesting, and when I first saw the game I thought bishop h6 should be the move, but here if he takes and then queen into h6, he has this knight e8 move, and the bishop quickly goes to this square. Also he has queen into a2, and definitely black can save himself here, because knight g5 he just captures, and when you take, he takes. Also now he can play something like c5, get the queen on this side. That's the reason bishop h6 is not working. But when I first saw this, even I felt bishop h6 should be the move. So yeah, looks like a possibility. But queen g5 was played in the game. Yes, Kiran, you're right. Queen g5 was played. So g7 is the square that cannot be guarded easily, because knight e8 loses this bishop here. Queen attacks this, and only the rook is protecting the bishop. So when you play knight e8, this bishop has no support and you can capture here. Knight h5 was played in the game with a similar idea of giving up a piece and protecting this, but instead of giving the bishop, he tries to give the knight. So after queen into h5, for instance, he can play knight f6. And for queen g5 again, then he will just capture bishop into f5. Queen into f5, and then he can even capture queen into a2. So it will be black who will attack now and not white. So for knight h5, Tal decided to play knight h6. So he's not really afraid of bishop into g5. He is just going for it. And after king h8, can you suggest a move? Animesh, thank you for the news. That's great. I saw the game in the previous round as well. We really played well. Hare Krishna won, and even Divya won a really good game. Thank you for the news. So after king h8, what do you think should be played? It's easy, guys. I just want to tell you if you should always sacrifice or you should calm down in between. Like, okay, so queen into h5 was played. Because you're getting back the piece, you should take it back. And now many of you must have thought knight into f7 because it's Tal's game, and obviously it should be a sacrifice. But even Tal, when he played solid. It wasn't like he just sacrificed a lot of pieces. Bishop c3 is not working, Kiran, because bishop into g5 is a check, and after knight into g5 he can just defend this pawn here. So maybe he can just move bishop b7 or even capture here. Or I'm even wondering if c5 is possible, because when you take and king g8, you don't really have anything. So queen into h5 and queen into a2 was played. And now bishop c3. You're right. Now bishop c3 makes a lot of sense. So here, even if queen a1 is played, you just escape with the king and nothing's happening. While as white is threatening to play something like knight f7 and then rook into f7, queen f7, also maybe knight g5 later on. So a lot of problems for black already. The pieces are not developed. White's all pieces are developed. This rook is doing, it's not doing much right now, but it is supporting rook d1 after all. So knight f6 was played. And now can you spot the tactic, guys? Now you have to think like Tal. Hack learners, okay, I'll talk in Hindi. If everyone is comfortable, I'll talk in Hindi. Just say yes. So I'll just talk in Hindi, guys, if you want me to. Rook into d8. Okay. Do you want me to talk in Hindi, guys? Can you just say a yes? So I'll... Okay, rook d8. Okay. There's one small problem with rook d8, guys. The problem is that after queen a1 check, king d2, rook into d8 is a check. Suddenly, this is a check, and you don't get to play this move. So that is the problem with rook d8. And so here Tal played a wonderful move, queen into f7. So let me tell you guys, whatever tactical ability or whatever sacrificing nature that I have in my game is all credits to Tal, because I have seen a lot of his games as a child, and that's how I in fact developed an interest for the game, because I liked how active his pieces were and how he would just fiercely attack the opponent. So it always would bring me joy after seeing the games. I always enjoyed them. So queen into f7 was played. And now what happens to rook into f7? It's obvious. You just give this check, knight g8, and you win. So you have one mate, this is another mate. So it depends on you how you want to checkmate your opponent. Queen into f7, queen a1 check was played, king d2. And let me tell you, this requires a lot of calculation when you play this, because after this, knight into f7, king g8, you just simply have to take back the queen. You don't have to go for the attack. So you need to know when to stop your attack on the king and when to collect material. Am I audible, guys? King into f7 was played, but then just knight e5, king e6, and then rook e1 was played. Hello Raghav. Okay, thank you. And now you are threatening discovered attack or discovered check with this rook here. So you can capture. Hello Shrestha. King e6 was played and knight into c6 was played instead of rook e1, but rook e1 was pretty interesting because of this discovered attack. Discovered check. Knight into c6, and now knight e4 check was played. So here Smyslow is just trying to exchange pieces, and maybe he's hoping for some compensation because he has double bishops. King e3, bishop b6, and Tal just plays bishop d4. So now after takes, again you can take with the knight, and then you're giving a check. Also this rook here is doing a good job. So if the king goes to d5 or e5, you can give a check and capture the piece. So this was Tal versus Smyslow, and this is a really nice game to understand how to build an attack. Let's move on to the next game. Guys, do you want me to talk in Hindi? I can do that. Let me know. So this is Mikhail Tal versus Oscar Pano, and it was played in Portoroz in Slovenia in 1958. e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop b5. So we have the royal piece. e6, bishop e4, knight f6, castles, bishop e7, rook e1, b5, bishop b3. Okay, great Raghav. Thank you, Shrestha. d6. So this is all of this is theory, and Roy Lopez has a lot of theory and a lot of lines. So I myself play bishop on c5, because I might show you a few games with bishop c5 later on if you want, because I think it avoids a lot of theory and you can get the bishop here. So you always have some attacks on f2 and you can go for the attack even with black. That is, you don't have to play in the center, or you don't have to restrict yourself to a lot of maneuvering if you play what I play. I can show that to you if you want later on. c3 was played, castles, and now h3. So h3 is usually played after castles, because bishop g4 is something that you have to prevent, because you want to play d4 and you don't want the pawn hanging and you don't want this knight pinned. Also, why h3 is not played before castling? Because for instance, I'm just showing you, if h3 is played here, then you have some threats with g5. Like right now it's not working, but g5 and then knight into g5, suddenly you have this attack. It's not working because of the bishop here, and bishop into f7 is coming. But usually with h3, g5 is a move that you always have to remember if the opposite king has not castled. And it happened in Nakamura versus Carlsen as well. So h6, g4, g4 was played, h3, g4. Nakamura was white. c3 was played, castles, and now finally h3, knight d7. So he wants to probably play king h8 and then f5. Also other move is this knight c5, and he's just maneuvering the pieces, waiting. d4, knight b6, bishop e3, e into d4, c into d4, knight e5. And in those days, theory was not really that vast. So they used to play a lot of games, and they used to prepare by remembering those games that they played. So theory was basically all the games that have been played. And now with engines, it's slightly difficult, because now you don't really waste one day analyzing just a small game, right? You can just quickly input in the engine and you can get the answers very quickly. Even though I think you shouldn't use engines as much, because they just remove how you can think imaginatively and how you can be more creative. So we should use engine, but limited. The use should be limited. Bishop c2 in order to protect the bishop. And now h7 pawn is slightly vulnerable, and there can be some threats on that square, because the knight has moved to a5. There is no knight f6 here, so you can attack this point. Do you have any questions, guys? So c5 was played in order to challenge white in the center. And now Tal played a good move, and it is a typical move when you are trying to have a pawn break. It is very typical to play this. Can you tell me what white must play here? I'll just have a sip of water till then. Okay, d5. d5 is not a bad move, Raghav, but the problem is that you want to play this as quickly as possible, because as I mentioned, this bishop needs to be really active. And if he can have some play here, then black will be just fine after d5. So d5 is d5 can be played, but after bishop f6 again, this pawn will be under a lot of attack. So knight c4 is possible. Even this bishop attacks, and black will definitely get some play. But with e5, hello Akhil, with e5 you are threatening something. So you're threatening queen d3, you're threatening bishop into h7, you're threatening bishop d2, and also if he takes, then you can just take here, attack the knight. For example, if you take here, then d into c5, not e5, because the rook here will constantly attack the pawn. And now he has two problems to solve. First of all, the knight is attacked and the pawn is also attacked, and you have a pawn majority on the queen side. So this c5 pawn is already a passed pawn, and it is pretty advanced. So it is restricting this bishop and also attacking the knight. Also c6 can be played later on, and you have a good position. So that's the reason e5 was played. d5 can be played. Yeah, the queen can be exchanged in this position after dc5. Maybe the queen will be exchanged, and now knight c4 can be the move. Here I probably think bishop into d1 is also possible, but okay, rook into d1 takes, and then knight c4 protecting this pawn. Here you have b4, so these two pawns are really strong, supported passed pawn. Okay, Vijeta says d5 again. d5 is possible, it's not a bad move, but bishop f6 allows counterplay. So e5 was played in order to break have some pawn breaks and to have some open files and open diagonals for the bishops. Yes, you're right, absolutely right, Shirish. After there is no knight on f6, this h7 pawn is really weak. So, and the bishop on c2 is already attacking it. So we already have some advantage if we think about the attack. And black's pieces are on the queen side, so they are far away from where the action is going to take place. D into e5, and now instead of dc5, Tal played knight into e5. So knight into e5 is a good move because again you are threatening this, and also actually there was a defense for black here which he missed, which Tal missed. Knight b c4 could be played, that's the reason dc5 was slightly more correct, but he played knight into e5, and after knight b c4, which Tal missed, queen d3, and now g6 was correct. So g6 would have helped black because suddenly the bishop moves to f6 and then g7. So this pawn here is weak. Then bishop can go to b7. So both the bishops will be on the fianchetto diagonals, and it will be really active for black too. But instead of g6, Oscar Pano played f5, thinking that he can control this e4 square and maybe bishop b7 and bishop e4. Sure, Vijita, I'll give you the annotation of this game. Maybe maybe I can add the PGN in the comments section if that's okay. You can maybe just copy paste it. So queen d3 and then f5 was played. f5 is a bad move, slightly worse. Knight into c4, and if knight into c4 is played, then you just capture with the knight. And now again this b2 pawn is the problem. So bishop b3 was played, and I really like this move because even though you may feel that bishop has moved a lot, it is actually doing a good job, because if you take here, takes, and when the knight takes on this point, it's trapped because it cannot go back. This b3 pawn, even though it's a double pawn, when you capture on b2, it helps trap the knight. So after bishop b3, black played f4, and he played this really fast because this bishop has moved from here, so he thought why not attack, and even he wants to play bishop f5 really quickly now that the rook here is supporting this bishop, and he can maybe remove the queen from this diagonal here. So Tal just ignored that idea. He's even ignoring that bishop f5 needs to be played. He just played bishop d2. So the idea is that a5 can be under attack because this is pinned. And now knight into b3 was played for the very same reason. And now what do you think should be the move here, guys? What should Tal play here? That is really interesting. After knight a5, there is some weakness in after the knight a5 has moved, there is some weakness in black's position. Can you spot that? Raghav and Vijeta, Soumitra, you all were right when you said e5. I'm just going to check the chat. White to play and have a really nice position. Okay, knight into c4 and something else. We'll even see knight into c4. Raghav and Shrestha, you are right, they can be captured, but since the knight on a5 has moved, suddenly this square is weak. So knight c6 is possible because you are attacking d8 and e7, and also this rook supports e7. Yes, Raghav, yes. Kiran, knight c4 takes, and you mean queen into c4 and then just take, right? Here. But the problem is that after this, even if you capture with the queen, the problem is f3 is slightly bad because this h3 pawn won't be defended because this bishop on c8 attacks h3, And this rook is really active, so it can really go to g6 very quickly. That is the problem. So it's not just white who's attacking. You have to even be cautious because the f4 pawn is really strong. It is restricting white's pieces, and also there is always a threat of f3. While as a into b3, the problem is that I'll just play knight into e5 and queen on d3. This is pin, guys. So after rook into e5, you can just capture, or even play bishop d4. Now bishop f6 and bishop d4. Yeah. So that is the issue. Otherwise, your moves were not wrong, but knight c6 is clearly winning on the spot, because not winning on the spot, but it is slightly better because you get this bishop, you can get the knight anytime later on. And here, what do you think should be the move? If he moves the queen, then you're winning on the spot. For instance, if you play something like this, or queen into queen d5, no, not queen d5, maybe queen b6, then just knight into e7, you won a piece, and then you then capture this pawn. So you're a piece up because you captured this in a tempo. And here Pano decided to sacrifice his queen for 2 pieces and a rook. Knight into d8, and he could capture here with the bishop. It was possible, but dc5, and again you have this strong passer, connected pass pawn, protected pass pawn, and you can move on with the pawn later. So Pano decided to play bishop f5 and to have some counter activity with all of his pieces. And let me tell you guys, 2 pieces value 6 points and rook values 5 points. So you have 11 points against the queen, which is 9 points. So it is a good deal for black, considering the material. But the knight here is slightly trapped, and you might win this later on. Also, this knight is still alive and it is not yet captured. It will be. Queen f3 is played, rook a into d8, rook into e7, and you might be wondering why he didn't capture with the bishop, right? But queen into a8 is hanging. So that was the problem. Rook d8, rook e7. And now, what do you think about the position? Bishop into b1 was played. What do you think about the position? Can you judge the position in any way? Like the king safety, who's better with king safety? Whose king is more safe? I'll just check the chat. Okay, so as I have mentioned earlier, that you can evaluate a position by thinking about king safety, then piece placement, then pawn structure, and also how can you attack the king, like if you have certain pieces on some side, and basically piece placement, but number of pieces in the attack actually. Yes, you're right. Queen g4 is interesting here. Sorry Shrist, I think it's the net. Is it better now? Bishop into f4 was played, so you just take back the pawn, and now again queen g3, queen g4. Both of the pieces will attack, this rook here and the queen. Is it still lagging, guys? I'm so sorry. I hope there is no lag. Okay, thank you Raghav. So bishop into f4 was played, and now rook into d4. So it is hard to judge this position while you're playing because it's really difficult. All the pieces definitely look that, this bishop can capture here, knight can really get back with knight c2, and even knight b2 is threatened, rook d1. But the problem is that rook on e7 and it's on the 7th rank, and that's the reason white is doing well. Even after so many things, white is still doing well. Yes, queen g4 is played in the game, and the idea of queen g4 is basically to attack here to get rid of the pin, and also to play queen e6 check. So till there are pieces on board, white is definitely better, because the black king is really weak and it will face a lot of attack. Bishop g6 was played in order to prevent this, queen g7, and now queen e6 was played. Bishop f7, and now queen f5. Okay, should I just a moment, I'll show you. So the problem with queen b7 is that d1 square is left here, and also this bishop guards this square, if you see. So queen into g7 was straight away a mate, but right now rook into g7 is not a mate. The king can go to h8. So now I can capture here, and if you take here, I'll just move here, and right now black is definitely better with all these pieces. I hope I'm clear, Shivai. That's the reason queen g4 was played. So after rook f4, you have this mate straight away. Sorry guys, I'm really sorry. There's some internet issue because of Ganpati, I think. Am I live, guys? Can you just tell me if I'm live? I just hope there is no change in the link. Yeah, I'm using broadband. Yeah, you're right. Okay, thank you guys. Thank you for waiting, and I'm sorry. So after the bishop on f7 has moved, there is some weakness in black's position. Can you spot that? Okay, thank you, Shrestha. Can you spot weakness in black's position? White to play, and something serious is going to happen now. Yes, Kiran, you're absolutely right. g7 is the weakness, and well, queen into c5 could be possible, but right now it's the time to strike, because after this, and even you get back the piece, still it's going to be slightly problematic, because you need that bishop for attack, and you need to expose the king as quickly as possible. So bishop rook into g7 was played, king into g7, and now you have this bishop h6 move. So that was the point. And can you tell me what happens to something like king g8? It's easy. Okay, queen into f8, right? That is the mate, and so it is forced to capture on h6, and queen into f8. So now you are given another piece which you will get back. The knight on c4 is still hanging. So king g5. But the advantage is that you've gotten, first of all, a pawn. Also, you have exposed black's king, so you can attack. And now you just capture back the piece. B into c4. Now g3. So you're making a mating mate here with something like h4, queen f4, queen g5 if the rook moves. Yes, Shiva, it's a Tal game. Yeah. It's Tal's game against Oscar Pano. And Tal is one of my favorite player, guys. Like, whatever sacrifice nature that I have in chess, or whatever risk-taking abilities or tactical abilities that I have, it's just all credits to him. I've seen a lot of his games. Bishop e4. And now h4. King g4. And now he, instead of playing queen f4 directly, because that will lead to king h3 and rook d1 mate. So he plays king h2 first, so prophylaxis. Bishop f5, preventing queen f4. Queen f6, the king is so exposed that it is going to cause a lot of problems for black. It is not easy to defend here. That's wonderful, Shivai. Yeah, you're right. White has less material, but the king is too exposed. So that is a good enough compensation, because while evaluating also, the first thing that comes to mind is king safety. So you might be queen down without any threats, but if you have even like some sort of mating net or some idea, you can still go on and play. Still a compensation. Queen h6, queen e5, rook e4, queen g7. He's just giving threats and trying to see what happens. King f3, queen c3, so he gets back the piece. And now Tal doesn't capture here, because if he does, then after this there is no check position, and obviously there can be queen into e3, but you don't want that. And when he moves, you have this draw here. Rook e2, rook e1, rook e2, perpetual check is there. That's the reason he doesn't capture f into e3. So he already knows that he's better, and he plays king g1 to prevent rook e1, or just to wait, because it's some sort of zugzwang. Bishop h3, f into e3 now is played, because after this, now you can take on c4 and this, and you can capture here. Bishop g4 was played in the game. Takes h5, queen e1, queen f2 is a mate, rook into e3 is forced, queen f1, king e4, and I'm going to rush to the game because now white is already better. He just has to find the right checks and the captures. So the game goes on like that. A pawn is strong. And even after rook a2, queen a6, king d6, you just go ahead with the a pawn, and white eventually wins the game. Let's move on to the next one. Okay, not this one. Okay, this one. Yeah. So Tal was black here, and Tal really liked Benoni. So I think that's what we'll see in the game. d4, nf6. Janus Kustata was white here. It was played in Uppsala in Sweden. Tal was black. d4, nf6, c4, g6. Knight c3, bishop g7, e4, d6. Okay, so we have King's Indian. f3, castles. But we have same-ish. So after this same-ish, you can go in Benoni positions, or you can go transpose it into like a different setup, because after c5 is played, then after, for example, c5, d5, e6, and after capturing here, it can transpose into some sort of Benoni. Bishop e3, e5 was played, so he goes for the King's Indian. c6, queen b3, e into d4, knight into d4, d5, takes, e into d5. And what should be the move here, guys? Can you think of a move here with black? What should black play here? I apologize for the delay, guys, and the lag. I'll just have some water. Till then you can suggest me the move. Okay, Raghav says rook e8. Rook e8 is interesting. Adarsh, yes, rook e8 is really interesting because he has to play king f2. And already you are taking away the king's right to castle. When it has moved, it cannot really castle. So yes, rook e8 is one possibility. But there is one really Tal-like move in this position. Yes, Shresh, rook e8 is a possibility. But Tal is Tal and he plays knight c6. So he plays knight c6, guys. And right now, if you check with the engine or if you check with the computer, it would say it's a bad move. But practically, when you're playing the game and when you play something like knight c6, obviously your opponent is taken back, like he's not sure what to do, because this is unexpected. Yes, you're right. Knight into d5 could be interesting too. Yeah. Knight c6, d into c6, and now can you tell me what should be the move? So he wants to do something big here. Practically, it is really difficult to play such positions, and especially when you know Tal. Yeah, you're right. Hi Bankim, how are you? Unexpected nature of the game, yeah. Yes, rook e8. Yes, bishop e6. Okay, rook e8 is correct. Hello Gaurang. Hello Priyansh. So rook e8 is correct, because now if king f2 is played, then you can capture on e3. So when he takes, then you have bishop h6. And when he moves, you're already exposing the king. You can see that this is already in Tal's favor, because for white, it is very difficult to understand what to do, where to move with the king. Right now, king e2 or king c4 are the two options. King c4 saves the piece, but definitely not the game, and you can just play something like some calm move like rook c8, or I can think of a really interesting move here, knight d7. How do you like this move, guys? This looks really interesting to me. I didn't spot this before, I just spot it. So the point is to give a check and to play this. So the king is trapped. Yeah. Yes, you're right. Tal style being like hunting the king on the middle of the board. You're right. Knight c6, the point was to get rid of the d5 pawn. So if you compare first rook e8, king f2, and then this move, just a moment. So the difference is that after bishop h6, he can go back, but in the position with the move knight c6, this is hanging. The d4 piece is hanging. So with the same variation that we just saw with bishop h6, he can't go here because this is hanging. That is the difference. Knight c7. Okay. When knight c7, this is what happened in the game. Rook into e3 happened in the game. Yeah, true. So rook d1 was played. Obviously king into e3 is not possible, and he just tries to protect the d4 knight. Also, it is worth noting, guys, that here long castle was just better for white, but he was just so surprised that he couldn't spot the difference between direct rook e8 king f2 and knight c6 and then rook e8 rook into e3. So he couldn't spot the difference, and that's the reason he didn't long castle. So otherwise white would have been better. Takes rook d1. And what do you think should be the move here, guys? I love this game, and I've seen this game a lot of times, and every time I find something different in the game. So black to play, and what should be the move? Hello Navneet, hello Gaurang. Guys, I think as usual we'll have to extend with 5 minutes because of the lag issues. Yes, Kiran, you're right. Knight g4. I think by knight g5 you meant knight g4. And now he's giving another piece. Yes, Adarsh. Yes, Shivai. So f into g4, and what is happening? Can you spot something? There are a lot of things that are happening over the board. Just compare the activity of pieces. Even though black has less amount of pieces, and it's not like he has a lot of pieces on the king side or anything, but just the pieces are so active that it compensates. Yes, Raghav, you're right. Bishop d4. And now again, the threat is rook into c3. Queen f6 is one threat, because when the king goes here, you can just play rook e1. So I'll just do a random move and show you what the problem is. So just for instance, something like queen a4. Okay, just a random move. Then you play queen f6. This goes here, and now you have this rook e1 check. So when he takes this piece, you have rook queen into f1 mate. So it's a forced mate sort of already, if he plays the wrong move. Rook into d4 was played in the game. Yes, you're right. The rook on h1 is just sleeping. It's not in the game. Queen into d4. And now white played queen d5 so that he can quickly exchange the pieces and avoid any sort of attack. So what should be the move here, guys? I'd really like to ask you this, because it's a wonderful move and slightly hard to see. Black to play and win, guys. Okay, queen f4. You can suggest a lot of moves, like all of you. Queen f4, okay. Okay, so queen f4 can be played and it's equally strong, but it is not as forcing, because king goes to g1 and it will slightly extend. Like also here you have to play the correct move, and if you don't, then maybe it's not that great. So in any case, what should black play here? Like for queen f4 king g1, what should be the move? It is really important to spot the right move here. Okay, blissful life says discovered check, I think in the previous position, but here can you spot the move? Rook e1, okay. Yes, guys, you're right. Rook e1 also is good, but queen f3 and the queens get exchanged and you win back the material, but it will take you long to win. Simple is rook into c3, because this is a mate. Believe it or not, queen e3 is a checkmate. Yeah. Yes, you're okay, let's go back to this position. I think Kiran suggests rook f3 here. Rook f3 is slightly wrong than rook e2. So rook f3 and rook e2 both are good moves, because you are giving discovered check and it is forced to capture the rook. So for here, rook f3, king f3, and the idea is bishop into g4, I guess. King g3, and there's a forced mate. Queen e3, king into g4, for instance, h5, and there is almost a mate in 6 or 7 moves, I think so. So king h4, queen f4 wins pretty quickly, but okay, if I want to extend, I can give checks and like extend. So you are right, rook f3 works. Absolutely correct, Kiran. And blissful life said discovered check. Okay, so rook e2 or rook f3 both can be the moves. Rook e2 was played in the game by Tal and he calculated everything when he played knight c6. I'm guessing he calculated everything. So he already knew that white is going to play king f2 and then rook into e3 is going to happen on the board. King into e2. Such a nice move, right? Rook e2. This cannot be captured because it's already a double check. King into e2, and now can you spot the move? How to get all the pieces in the attack, guys? Yes, Raghav, yes, Adarsh. Bishop into g4 check. So the king has just one square already, and obviously he won't sacrifice the queen. So king e1, and now what? Anything that you can spot? Yes, blissful life, you're right. Okay, Shiva has a question. Guys, I'll quickly go back and just show him what happens. So rook f3, it's a double check, Shiva. So he cannot capture the rook with the pawn. It's already a check with the queen. Same goes for this move. He cannot capture with any other piece because there is a double check here. Okay, so bishop into g4, king e1, and most of you spotted the correct move, rook e8. So you get all the pieces in the attack. The rook comes to life, and now again we see that if there was a knight on b8, rook e8 check won't be possible. So sacrificing that knight was really important. He cleared the way for the rook. Bishop e2 was played. Yes, Raghav, you're right. Vijayta, queen e3 is slightly wrong, because then I can play bishop e2 and you won't sacrifice the queen here, even though you can get the rook back. Queen c1, king f2, and maybe you can get this, but after cb7 this pawn is really strong and he has a lot of compensation as white. Even this bishop here is hanging, so that's the reason that is not possible. Rook e8 is played, bishop e2, and can you spot the final blow here? The final move that wins the game, finishes off like the game. So literally from knight c6 till here, it is almost like he's giving continuous threats. There is not one move where he stopped, and that's why he stalled. Rook e2. I think Raghav, you meant rook e2. You're right, rook e2. And now when he captures knight into e2, then queen into d5, and you just win the game. Yes, blissful life, you're right, rook captures e2. So this was Tal's games, guys. Okay, Shiva, I think... Okay. Shiva, I don't think this was home preparation. I don't think so. Because he had a great intuition, and back then, like right now, we can find opponent's games and we can analyze what he plays, which opening. But back then it was not so easy because there was no database or no engines to analyze. So I don't think it was preparation. It could be, but definitely I don't think so. Like, it was his preparation. It was more of intuition because Tal just had a feel for the attack. And if you see a lot of his games, even you will develop that feel for the attack. So even in a normal situation, you would think about which piece to get on which square so that you can later on attack. I'll show you a few of my games because most of my games are inspired by Tal only. Like, I really like his games. Blissful, that happens with all of us. When we start out, we usually sacrifice a lot, and then we realize that okay, you suddenly don't have too many pieces left for the attack. So just remember, guys, you need 3 pieces for attack to succeed. Like, it can be 1 pawn, 1 piece and 1 queen, or usually you need 3 pieces, but with knight and queen you just require 2. So knight and queen are great if you are attacking. So you can remember that. So this was about today, guys, and I hope you liked today's lecture. If you did, do like, share and subscribe this video, and do subscribe to Unacademy, guys, because Anand sir is teaching, and even Kramnik. Also, there is in September there are going to be classes where Anand is going to have live sessions. So you will get to ask questions to Anand, and you can learn from all the top coaches at just ₹99, because for the first month they have kept unbelievable price of just ₹99. So you can learn from everyone at ₹99 instead of 1500 if you use the code Parnali16. So I have mentioned on the screen Parnali16. Yes, calculation matters, you're right. Shivai, I hope you will get better, because Studying games really helps. Maybe you can study them on the board. Okay, thank you guys. Thank you. I'll see you day after on the platform. So I have a lecture on 25th at I think 5 p.m. 4 or 5. I'll have to check. So see you guys. Take care. Bye guys.